first started, I got in trouble over DWI, and I went through this supposed to be one of the top law firms in St. Louis, and all the stuff they were doing, cost me a lot of money, and they weren't doing anything for my situation. I collected years of stuff, over a year's worth of stuff, of paperwork and everything, and they wouldn't even look at it. They would tell me, oh yeah, I told the prosecuting attorney this and that. And I said, well, how's the prosecuting attorney gonna believe you if you ain't looked at stuff I gave you, And what stuff I had is like, all the clean, I quit drinking, I quit doing a lot of stuff, and it drug out over 3 years. And all they did was just extend it. They weren't doing nothing for me, I couldn't hire the main guy that owned the law firm. I had to go through one of his interns, but it still cost a lot of money for me, Then I had a friend that was going through Chris Combs, and she said that she had a pretty good outcome of it, so I got his number from her. And I called him up one day, and he asked me, to come down and visit and talk to him a little bit. So I came down and talked to him about my situation. I still had the other lawyer, so I was coming close to Judgment Day. Well, Chris, talked to me and, told me what he might be able to do, and said there was no guarantees or nothing, but, he said sounded like, he did a lot better, could help me a lot better than the other lawyer did. So I ended up firing the other lawyer and everything and going with Chris Combs. And whenever I went through Chris Combs took all my information, took all the paperwork I had, built an actual case, and I felt like he actually did something for me. And I wasn't just another number on somebody's desk, And that's a big deal to me, because I was still looking at jail time, I was looking at a felony charge, and Chris turned that all around for me. He helped me out a lot. And I really appreciate that, because, the other guy, he didn't care. He just collecting a paycheck by the end of the day. So, and after Chris, took my case, and he always stayed in contact with me, and, when I called him, he'd always return my phone calls if he didn't pick up at the time. And, he's pretty patient with me, whenever I try to call him and get a hold of him. But, he really did a lot more, in the situation, because, by him showing all the paperwork and stuff I was doing at the time, it really turned my case around, If it wasn't for that, I wouldn't be sitting here today. I'd probably be in jail, or, had to have a felony, or be doing all kinds of other stuff probably, I don't know. Somebody asked me for a lawyer that they needed or something, I would definitely recommend Chris Combs, because, he seems more like a family guy than an actual, somebody that's a real hot shot and just, tries to be somebody that tries to sell you on something that he can't provide, because the other lawyer I hired, actually the main guy that was there, sat there in front of me when I fired him, told me that they wouldn't change it. I didn't have no chance whatsoever. And I was just like, I don't care. I want to go with Chris Combs. So I went through with him, and what the outcome came, I definitely recommend whoever, is in the situation that I was in, or any kind of situation, really, because, if he do something like that for me, if he's willing to work that hard, to go through and be able to turn the case around, that another lawyer said I wouldn't have no chance in ever getting it turned around, just because, of my situation. At the time, when I was coming down the wire, I was pretty nervous and, didn't know what to do, because, I still needed a job, and I had my house I got to take care of, and I was looking at jail time, I didn't want to do no jail time, but, that's what my main concern was, and having a felony on my record, I haven't been in trouble for 16 years before that, and this just coming up on me, and it's like they're throwing a book at me, and just felt like I didn't have a chance in the world. And, you know, even with the other lawyer telling me, you know, I didn't have a chance, you know, I didn't know what to think. You know, just lucky, you know, I had a position where I could go through Chris and him to be able to help me out the way he did, you know. I really, you know, that was a big deal for me because at the end, you know, I was very excited, you know, what he told me and what the outcome was going to be because I didn't think it, you know, I didn't know what to think. You know, I didn't know what Chris was going to be able to do at first, you know, but him being in touch with me and telling me that he's, you know, actually taking all the paperwork I had of all the stuff I was doing and stuff he recommended me to do to help out my case, you know. I mean, that was a big deal, you know. And I was very, very pleased with the outcome of it. You know, I was very happy. Because I didn't have to see, you know, I wouldn't have to go to jail. And he did what he told me he was going to do. And that's what, main thing that, you know, that's why I like Chris a lot.